Turning on the Wi-Fi like Obama to a white guys. Temper in the center of when the bill with some white lies. But that's politics, gets colder than the wildest thing.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas. Today we have some big news regarding the last games of the round of 16 in the Champions League, and we've got some big news in the FA Cup as well. We will also be covering the squads that have been announced for the upcoming international friendlies before the World Cup action starts, and just some news that has been, kind of popping up around the leagues around the world. First off, I'd like to start with Champions League. The obviously the big game there that everybody was waiting for was the Chelsea-Barca game. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of both teams, and I think Chelsea was always the underdog in this situation, and they definitely played their hearts out. But I mean, Barcelona has been such a dominant force in the past few seasons, and they've come out even bigger this season. Almost with a vengeance, because obviously Real won last year, and they don't want that to reoccur. And Barca is just again a dominant team.
And I think with the second leg, it was definitely a much more entertaining match than the first leg. Coming up with the 1-1 draw, and then this one, Barcelona. First off, they're at home, and their home fans are incredible fans. That stadium, Camp Nou, just vibrates with life with every match, and it's really impressive. And then and like you said, they just dominated. I don't know if it had to do with some of the things that may or may not be going on in the squad with Chelsea. I think there's some of the players are a little less than thrilled with tactics right now. And how much did that play? How much did that have to do with I think they played well. And don't get me wrong. Chelsea showed up. They just didn't get the breaks. And it's hard to come out on top against a squad like Barcelona. But I think Chelsea played well. Again, I think there's some kind of psychological issues that may.
And another thing is, if you look at their recent stretch of games, prior to this game, it's been devastating for them. They played Manchester United, they played Manchester City, they played Barcelona before. I mean, really the only huge game was against Crystal Palace, which is a game that they did win. Obviously that was a big boost for them, but I'm sure they're tired because they've been playing these huge matches recently, and it's just, and like we said, it's the same thing with Manchester City. Always, that's going to take a toll on the players. These players aren't machines. Well, Messi might be, but most of them aren't, and they can't just keep running and keep running. Even Messi's come out and said, "Dude, I need breaks sometimes." He can't.
Right.
Nobody can continuously run, like some of these, footballers try to, and obviously it's gonna break them down. And I think that was seen in the final leg of this matchup. Obviously, the Barcelona obviously went through. They went through with a 3-0 aggregate after beating Chelsea 3-0 on the first. It was a 4-1 aggregate after beating them 3-0 in the first match, or in the second match. Messi came out immediately with a goal in the 3rd minute of that game, which means that's just classic Barcelona right there. Is coming out, striking fast, and getting that lead.
Right.
And it works. It's never not going to work.
Right. And it was a really good match, and of course, with Luis Suarez up there with him, with the service, he had the assist on that goal in the 3rd minute. And then, not long after that, Leo Messi had an assist for Ousmane Dembele's goal, and it was really something to watch. Like you said, Messi might be a machine, and these guys aren't machines. But the way some of these squads play, Barcelona is probably one of the high mark for the way some of these teams can play. It's mechanical, and it's mechanical in a sense that it's so well rehearsed but not predictable.
Yeah,
you know what they're going to do. They're going to come in and they're going to attack. But where are they going to attack from? Because they have so much skill, they have so much talent, and they have the depth they have. With the players that they have, who are willing to take shots on goal. And it is fun to watch. It's one of the things. I'm not the biggest Barcelona fan. I enjoy watching Barcelona because it's phenomenal football. Just the fact that you get to watch guys like Leo Messi and Luis Suarez play at the level, it's entertaining. It's incredibly entertaining to watch. But like I said, they kind of set the standard. Barcelona is one of the best leagues or one of the best squads in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. The second big game, at least for me, and I know it was for you as well, was the Manchester United Sevilla matchup. We've both been very adamant on this webcast that we are not big fans of Manchester United. They were knocked out this round playing Sevilla of an aggregate of 2-1 because the final game ended up being 2-1. The first leg ended up being 0-0. So it came down to this game, and there was two goals from Wissam Ben Yedder in the 74th and the 78th minute to make it 2-0, and then Romelu Lukaku scored I guess kind of a pity goal in the 84th minute. Yeah, but it wasn't
the
enough.
consolation.
And that was a big. That was big news around, the football world right after that happened. It was, it was shocking because Sevilla is one of those teams that's kind of underrated, and apparently everybody expected Manchester United to win this match, but it.
Well, and especially with them coming off the win against Liverpool right before that, that's a fairly big head of steam. They planted themselves solidly in second place in the English Premier League. And then move on to this game, to get knocked out. But, with that in mind, you have to understand Paul Pogba did not participate. And apparently he's unhappy with that decision. There's some chatter going on that he's not happy with his role at Manchester United. I think he's performing okay. I think he was doing better.
Came from Juventus.
He came from Serie A.
Yeah, he was having fun at Juventus.
Yeah, okay.
And because the manager there allowed him to have fun.
Right.
And a player like that, you have to allow him to have fun because that's where his creative genius comes from. He's very creative. He has the ideas. Right. You have to give him the freedom to express those ideas and play in the way that he can play. And he showed that at Juventus. I think he kind of became money hungry in the transfer to United, and it shows. And I hate to say that, but it's not working out for him as well as I would hope. Jose Mourinho is not the kind of manager that allows the expressive ideas that he has.
Yeah. And it's a shame, because he does have a lot of talent, a lot of ability, and just like you said, it's not the kind of creativity that you can afford to rein in. I mean, you really just kind of have to give him, listen, here's a general idea of what I'm looking for on the pitch, Paul. Now go make it happen. And that's the kind of player that he is. And like you said, when you're having fun, the creative juices are going to flow a little bit better. And I notice that even when I'm playing, if I start to get kind of down on myself, I don't play as well. I start making silly mistakes. I get caught ball watching. I get caught, you get caught in possession, things like that. if you're having fun, everything just seems to flow a lot better. You kind of have an idea of, when the ball comes to me, what am I going to do with it? Those ideas are already there, and you tend to express yourself a little bit better. And if you're having fun, it's going to show you're having fun, and that's when the fun things happen. And I don't think Paul Pogba is experiencing that. I would agree with that. He's not having fun, and it's showing in the way he's playing. And then the fact that now he's not. There's matches where he's not in the starting 11. There's matches where he's not coming in as sub. You got that kind of money invested, in a player like that. You got to let him run, man. You gotta. So I mean, there's, like I said, there's small chatter right now that he may end up back in the
to round out
Premier
this
League pretty soon.
This round of
see.
Champions League, Roma and Shakhtar, they ended up tying 2-2 on aggregate, but I believe Roma moved on with the away goal, or with 2 away goals.
Yes.
But and then Bayern basically they finished off their routing of Besiktas. The aggregate was 8-1.
Yeah.
It is
8-1.
It's a sad sight, to see a smaller team like that just get, demolished. But it's almost expected from a team like Bayern Munich. Obviously a couple years ago they won, the Champions League a few times. And they've always been one of those teams that is always very dangerous. And you can't really, sit on them too much because they will come out and bite you.
Oh yeah. And with the striking ability that they have, with Thomas Muller and and of course Lewandowski,
I believe Lewandowski. Oh no, he's still. I thought he went to. Oh, I'm thinking of Marco Reus. Never mind. I was thinking he went to Dortmund.
Oh yeah. But I mean, just the fact that these guys make goals happen. I've watched Robert Lewandowski just score goals out of absolutely nothing, and it's.
I remember.
It's always exciting.
It was about a year
to watch a Bayern match.
Year and a half ago, he came on as a sub in like the 60th minute, and scored like 5 goals in 30 minutes. I'll see if I can't find that match, but
that's insane.
It was. I remember like him coming off and like basically the manager at the time was just like, I have no words.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to describe something like that.
Start. Might have been a falling out with the manager. Obviously he came on like, look, I didn't start. I'm gonna make as much of an impact on this game as I can, and he absolutely did that. For the next round of Champions League, the round of 8.
These matches are I'm pretty excited about a couple of these. The 3rd and 4th of April are going to be
Sevilla and Bayern.
Going to be big time.
Obviously Sevilla has already killed one giant this season. Maybe they can take on Bayern. The big one that I'm. The big one on.
They're going to have their hands full
that
with
I'm really looking forward to is the Juventus Real Madrid game. That is going to be very fun to see.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Barcelona is matched up with Roma. Again, I've got to give Barca the upper hand on this. Roma is an underdog. But if there's a team that can do it, Roma is still a very good team. Obviously, they've made it this far in the tournament. And of the 5 teams that were in the round of 16 for England, there are only 2 left, and they are playing each other. Liverpool
and they got drawn. They got drawn
Liverpool
against
and Man
each
City,
other, and I'm very
2
excited
teams that
about
are
it.
on a hot streak right now in the Premier League. Obviously, Man City has basically got the title wrapped up this season. I think they go win like 2 more games and it's done.
And I actually a little bit later in the episode we'll talk about. I found 6 records that Manchester City have the ability to break by the end of this season. There's 6 standing records.
And then obviously Liverpool.
But we'll talk about that a little bit
They
later.
kind of hit a block in the road against Man United. but their game against Watford the other day for the Premier League was just devastating. I mean, it was a 5-0 routing of Watford.
Yeah.
I mean, and Mo Salah just was out there, shooting practice. He's just
and even the defenders for Watford were just like, we prepared for that, and still it just nothing we did worked. There was no way to contain him, and you could tell that there were. I mean, it was almost terror. Like no one wanted to take Mo Salah on. He got the ball and he ran at him, and they really ran out of ideas of how to corral this cat. And I don't think he gave a crap one way or the other. He was going to play his game. You could tell he was having so much fun. And there again, we talk about having fun. You could tell he was having an absolute blast. And I as a Liverpool supporter, it was fantastic for me to watch. To get 4 goals in one match, in his first Liverpool hat trick, plus one, was really awesome. It was a great match. But this matchup with Liverpool, Manchester United, or Manchester City in the Champions League, I'm pretty excited about that, because in the Premier League, the only loss that City have experienced was to Liverpool. And I think this match on April 4th is actually going to be at Anfield. And that's for me, that's an advantage for Liverpool. Because Anfield, fans, we were talking about, the fans at Camp Nou for Barcelona, Anfield, the famous Copites are,
the Cop end is dangerous. I mean, there's actually an article that came out a couple years ago that said there's a reason that Liverpool, when they win the toss, they choose to attack the Cop end second, in the second half, because they always know the second half. They're tired, but they always get that support from seeing the people in the Cop end. And that's an insane boost for them. It's dangerous. To go against Liverpool attacking the Cop end every time.
Yeah, and it's actually, you mentioned, they choose to do that when they win the toss. If they don't win the toss, it's not uncommon for the opponent to make it so that Liverpool is not attacking the Cop in the second half. They do that intentionally, because they know that, like you said, it's that psychological boost they get. Coming late into a game, you get to that 60th, 70th minute, you got tired legs. Even if you're winning, I mean, the physicality is still there. And if you don't have that psychological boost from, those ravenous fans, sitting at that end of the stadium, it's not defeating. It's just, it's different. And I can, at my level of play, I can only imagine something like that. Where I play, I play in the old fat guys adult league, and rarely we had fans at all, but when there is someone there cheering for you, it's a totally different mindset. Again, it adds that fun factor. You start to get a little bit more creative. Mm-hmm. You do a little bit of things that you wouldn't typically do, and have a lot more fun with it. But yeah, I'm excited about a couple of those matches. The Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Roma, Sevilla, and Bayern. Sevilla is a giant killer already. Could they do it again? Sure. It's always a possibility. As someone, I'm not a gambling guy, but if I was, my money's got to go on Bayern on that one. Juventus, Real Madrid, with the terror that Cristiano Ronaldo's on. He's got.
And if you remember, this is a rematch of the final from last year. Yes, it is.
Oh yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah. So yeah, there might be a little bit of that's gonna be a fun match. But yeah, this round of 8 is gonna be incredibly entertaining.
There's another tournament that happened this past week. There was the round of 8 for the FA Cup, the English FA Cup. Southampton and Wigan. Obviously, Southampton not the name you usually see this late in a tournament. But they beat Wigan 2-0 in their match. Tottenham routed Swansea 3-0. Man United beat Brighton 2-0. And Chelsea was playing Leicester. And I was actually at work when the game was playing. But I get updates on my phone from the FOTMOB app that we use. And I remember seeing, Chelsea scored the first goal. Oh, Jamie Vardy scored.
Yeah.
Oh, end of 90. And to see that Pedro had scored a goal, I believe it was the 111th minute. Oh, sorry, 105th minute.
Yeah.
He came on and scored that goal. And then, at that point there's not enough time, for Leicester to build enough attack, to build enough momentum to get their goal back. It was almost devastating for me. And I remember me and you were talking about the first goal that they scored. Alvaro Morata scored in the 42nd minute with an assist by Willian. And it was a beautiful counter. I mean, basically, Willian got the ball behind their half, beat one defender, and just ran past like two more, which is exactly how Willian should be used. Yeah. Willian is a speed demon, and Correct. He cannot. I don't think there are very few people in the Premier League that can stay up to pace with him. And basically he got up there, played a ball through to Morata, and Morata finished it off. And it was a, literally like 3-pass counter. And it was beautiful to watch. And the Pedro goal, just to see, the fans, blow up, to see Antonio Conte. That's one thing I've always loved about Antonio Conte is his passion when Chelsea scores. Obviously there's been some negative news about him recently, but he doesn't let that get in the way of, his celebration, of his joy for goals. It's always fun to watch. Yeah. And Pedro's goal was, beautiful, and that moves them on. So on the 21st of April there will be 2 games, which is it's the semifinals with Chelsea Southampton and Man United Tottenham. I'm actually very excited to see that second game. Two bigger names.
Yeah, I am too. I was actually just sitting here thinking about that. Chelsea Southampton. Mm-hmm. I got to go with Chelsea on that one. Southampton, kind of a revival now. Mark Hughes is in charge. That was his first. I think it was his first match in charge, if I'm not mistaken. The game against Wigan. That was actually a really entertaining match. I did get to catch that match. That match really could have gone either way. I mean, I know Wigan, came up 0, but they had the chances. They had loads of chances. I mean, they hit framework, they forced saves, shots just skidding wide. They didn't hand Southampton anything. Southampton had to work, to get that win and move on to the semifinals. I think Chelsea has the skill. I think they're in a place where they're playing right now that I think they're going to put it on Southampton. Like I said, Southampton's in a little bit of a revival right now. They've got bigger fish to fry right now. FA Cup would be a really good boost for them, but that remains to be seen. The United Tottenham match is going to be. I think it's going to be. Especially with Harry I hope Kane it's going to be a goal fest.
Yep, Harry Kane is out till
he is. Yeah, he's out for a couple of weeks.
Which is he's out with an ankle injury, which is another thing with him out that basically put Mo Salah as the Golden Boot winner. There's nobody close to him right now, and he scored 4 more against Watford.
Yeah.
It's
I think he's plus
a big boost. His first season at Liverpool to win the Golden Boot. Classic. I mean, I guess classic Harry Kane really. He
that
always
guy.
is performing really well at the beginning of the season, and all of a sudden he picks up an injury. Whether it's a nose injury or like a calf injury, or this year it's an ankle injury. He always.
And this is not the first
There
time it's
always
been an
seems to be
ankle
something
injury.
wrong towards the end of the season, and it always ends up being a negative thing for Tottenham as they kind of fall off in the table, in their tournaments that they're playing in. Obviously, they're out of Champions League at this point, but FA Cup would be a big boost for them because, like we've said many times before, there's really nobody who can stop Man City. If they want to win a trophy, it's gonna have to be this one.
Agreed.
This is the only other thing that they're in right now. So with that, it's a big thing that they would want, obviously, and it's that'll be a fantastic match. Like I said, I hope it's a goal fest.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it has all the makings of a really good match. This is two Premier League powerhouses, that are they battle it out in the Premier League, so they got FA Cup and Champions League. These guys just kind of duke it out over and over and over, and it's they're fun to watch. It's going to be a good game, but My prediction for the results on 21st of April will be I think it's going to be Chelsea Tottenham in the final. That's my prediction. I think Tottenham's going to pull it off. I think they're in a better place psychologically. Now with Harry Kane out, that may kind of teeter a little bit.
They still they've still got,
but they
Christian
still have
Eriksen,
goal
they've
scorers.
Still got Deli. They still got is it Hugh-Mungson? Is that what it is? Yeah. I always get.
Yep.
Yeah, I always get his name
Heung-min
messed
Son.
up. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and he's having a good season.
We should move on to coming up. There are some international games for, I guess, friendlies before the World Cup. One of the big names that I remember that is coming out now that apparently he's very disappointed that he didn't get a call up was Alvaro Morata. He didn't get a call up to Spain, and that's really the only big name missing from the Spanish lineup right now, and I don't see a problem with it actually. I think it's a good choice. He hasn't been performing at the level that he should be at Chelsea. He's a much better player than he's been showing, and it's not very good. Another name that I saw.
Well, and Spain doesn't have. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Spain doesn't have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang either, because he has decided he was eligible to play for 3 different countries. He could have played for France, Spain, or Gabon. And my understanding is he played for the French U21s, but he's not cap-tied for national team. And he has decided that he's going to play for Gabon because he wanted to follow his father's footsteps. His father was at one time the captain of the Gabonese national team, and that's where he wants to make his name there as well.
That's a very,
he said that's where his heart is.
Very dignifying choice. Very interesting though. Obviously, there's almost no chance of World Cup there. Really, the only chance of glory there is, African Cup of Nations. Obviously, they can get to the World Cup. The African tournament is always very scattered when it comes to international tournaments. There's always, different teams that come in every year. Maybe he's the puzzle piece that they need to fill in. Maybe, it'll work out for him.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's a very, very good choice, very brave choice, and I respect that. But it's still very, I guess weird to hear that. Another name that I didn't really like seeing in the Spanish lineup was Diego Costa. I didn't know that man was still alive.
I thought we were done with him. The old DA bro.
Also, Pedro was not in the Spanish squad, which is a big.
Really?
Yeah, it says right here that Pedro Rodriguez and Votola have been shafted from the squad. Obviously Pedro's, he's getting older, of course, but he's still performing at a level that is top quality.
Sure.
It's kind of weird to see. I remember last episode we were talking about a goal drought with Michy Batshuayi. I sent you something recently that he's scored. How many goals? He scored, I think it's like 4 goals in the last 5 games. I
think it was.
There was rumors. Oh, he's at a goal drought, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh really? I'm in a goal drought. Here's some goals for you. He's been called up to the Belgian national squad, and I remember before this we were talking the strikers that have been called up for Belgium is Michy Batshuayi, Eden Hazard, Thorgan Hazard, Romelu Lukaku, Dries Mertens, Kevin Morales, and Divock Origi.
And my first response
as a goalkeeper,
was, holy cow,
seeing
that's
any
terrifying.
of them individually is ridiculous. That is a deadly attacking squad, and Belgium has always been a team that has that kind of power. You've also got Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield. You've got Axel Witsel, Raja Nainggolan. They've got a ridiculous midfield. You've got Vincent Kompany, Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Thomas Vermaelen in the back. It's ridiculous.
It's insane the amount of talent right there, and the fact that a lot of these guys are still playing top
and their
level
starting
ball
goalkeeper
in the Premier League
is Thibaut Courtois. Exactly. It's almost
who's one of the
insane.
best in the business.
Nobody really talks about Belgium. They're always there. They're winning, but they don't really get the recognition that I think they deserve.
They don't have the glamour. That's not even the fair word to use for them. They don't get the media coverage that like the German team. Everybody, of course, around here talks about the U.S. national team, which they won't be talking about them, this World Cup. But other teams, the German national team, of course, the French national team,
the Brazilian
the
national
English
team.
national team are always big news.
The Brazilian national team.
You say it again.
Speaking of which, Neymar will not be playing with them
Brazil,
right now. He's still
Argentina.
out with injury. Which obviously you're gonna have some people who need to step up in those positions. You've still got some big names. You've got Roberto Firmino. You've got Willian. You've got Felipe Coutinho. You've got big names that that can stand up and replace that. But it's still a big loss losing your giant of the group. And obviously Germany is still a powerhouse. They've still got big names, but Manuel Neuer is still out. Obviously, that's always been a big, part of their squad. Manuel Neuer is still he's not to be included in these friendlies. I believe he was supposed to be back in January of this year. I'm not sure why he's not back yet. I'll look that up and I'll probably post it on the Facebook page later, just to let everybody know. But obviously that's a small divot. You've still got Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who's the starting goalkeeper for Barcelona. You've got big names to replace in Germany, and that's what Germany's always been about. Is the fact that they can lose a player and then they have someone right next to it who can step up and play at the same level.
They have the depth.
That's really the only the big names
right.
In international football right now. Obviously, the U.S. team have a friendly against, I believe it was a South American country. I can't remember exactly who, but it's a lot of younger guys. The new manager of United States Soccer is bringing in new faces.
And that's what I think a lot of people, most people, were hoping was going to happen. After the U.S. exit from World Cup contention, a lot of upset folks. The U.S. team performed really well at the last World Cup. I think they did, and just created a huge following for U.S. soccer. And then, for the very next World Cup to not even be able to show up, really deflating.
Yeah.
And with this new manager, I hope that and they're apparently bringing in a lot of new blood, and that's what needed to happen a while ago, in my opinion. I'm by no means an expert, but when you keep playing the same, you keep picking the same 23 people, to make these trips, and you're getting the same result. You're like, oh well, let's pick those 23 and do it again. There's only so many times you can bash your head against that brick wall before you realize I should probably go around this wall. And to me, that's what U.S. soccer was doing. They were just trying to slam their head against the wall, wait for it to fall down. And it wasn't happening because these guys were getting older. They were getting more tired. And it wasn't working. So the new names on the roster, I'm hopeful. And I'll leave it at that. I'm hopeful. That over the next couple of years, that U.S. soccer can put something together that makes us a contender. I'd like to see that.
I think at this point we're kind of running out of time. I think you had something you wanted to talk about. I think we'll post that on the Facebook page as well, just to let everybody know.
Yeah, what I'll do is it was a really cool article I found on FotMob about the 6 records that Manchester City will break by the end of the 2017-2018 Premier League season. The earliest title win, the most goals, the biggest goal differential, the most wins, the most points, and the biggest margin by which they'll win the title. And it's going to happen very soon, all of this stuff. The cool thing is, of those 6 records, Manchester United holds 2. And Chelsea holds the other 4.
Wow. And obviously their goal is to win the Premier League against Manchester United.
Yeah.
That's what City wants.
Right.
As like hey, we're the best Manchester.
Yeah, they could turn Manchester blue. So it's cool.
I think Manchester's been blue for a long time.
I think so too.
I think with that, and like I said, we'll post it on the Facebook page so you guys can read that in more detail.
Yeah, it's a really cool article, so check it out.
Yeah, and I think with that, I think we're gonna end off the episode. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Check out the description for a link to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter. There will be a link to our t-shirt shop, and a link to Macrophonic MC's music page. He's the one who does our intro outro music. Shout out to him. He's a really cool dude, really good friend of ours. And one more time, I'd like to say thank you to you guys for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks everybody have a good week. Enjoy yourselves. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.
Still holding on to Wi-Fi like Obama to a white guys. Temper in the center of when the bill with some white lies. But that's politics, gets colder than the wildest state. There's so many multitasking, they multi-taxing in spite of me. But I might go big, finding it, standing aside and timing it. Go ahead and peak my temper, I'll meditate and then write it. Time to fit my mode.